Hello there, Stevos. Welcome back to another episode of Steve's movie wrap up right here on my YouTube channel, SteveOfficial. This is episode 102. Firstly, I just want to say apologies if you can hear a bit of noise in the background, and you can probably see my shirt blowing away. We're currently going through another heat wave in the UK, and to be quite honest with you, I need a fan. So I've got a fan on right next to me whilst I'm filming this episode of the movie wrap up. But I'm just hoping and praying that you guys can still hear what I'm about to say in this episode of the movie wrap up, in terms of movies, of course. So coming up, I am going to be reviewing Evil Dead Burn. I'm going to be reviewing Tom and Jerry Forbidden Compass. I'm also going to review Forbidden Fruits, and the final one that I'm going to review is Billie Eilish with Hit Me Hard and Soft, the concert movie tour. So without further ado, let's start. Evil Dead Burn. So, first up is Evil Dead Burn. Now, I'm going to say with Evil Dead Burn, I actually enjoyed this one. And the reason I enjoyed this one is because it's gory, it's nasty, it's gnarly, you know, and in some ways, it's disgusting as well. Now, when I say that sort of stuff, I'm not giving it a harsh review. I'm actually giving it a compliment when I say it's gory, it's nasty, it's gnarly, it's disgusting, because that is actually a compliment. So we are dealing with essentially a very abusive, toxic boyfriend, or husband in this case actually, who treated his wife, Alice, really badly, to be honest, and we do see glimpses of that throughout the movie. And of course he then dies. Spoiler, is it? I mean, it's part of the plot, I guess. Let's go with it's part of the plot. So he dies in a car accident, and he ends up coming back as a Deadite, which is what the Evil Dead franchise is really well known for, is the Deadites. But of course, he ends up dying. His family, aka his wife's in-laws, end up having a funeral for him. But it's clearly obvious that you shouldn't really spend a lot of time with your in-laws, as this movie does prove. Now, I'm going to say, actually, I did enjoy Evil Dead Burn. There is actually some bits and pieces in here which I'm not going to spoil, but if you watch Evil Dead Rise, which came out like 3 years ago, back in 2023, and then you then go in and watch Evil Dead Burn at the cinema, you're going to see that there's some sort of similarities, I guess, and there's some connections in there as well. That's all I'm going to say, is there's some connections. That's all I can give away. However though, is Evil Dead Burn a film that I would recommend watching? I definitely would. If you're a horror fan, if you are into the Evil Dead franchise, I would say do definitely give this a watch. Is this a movie that I would recommend watching? Of course. Again, horror fan, Evil Dead fan, you know, do give it a watch. And is this a movie that I would definitely watch again in the future? For sure, it would be. I mean, I do love the Evil Dead franchise anyway. I mean, it's funny actually, because somebody on Twitter said the other day that there is not a single miss in the Evil Dead franchise. Now, this is my controversial opinion here, okay? I think there is. And that is in the form of Army of Darkness. I don't know why. I tried to watch Army of Darkness once, didn't get into it, didn't enjoy it, so that for me was a miss. But all the other Evil Dead films though, the first two, the 2013 film, Evil Dead Rise, and Evil Dead Burn, they're great, they're brilliant. And you know what? In a couple of years' time, I think it's in 2028, we are going to be getting Evil Dead Wrath, which is the next Evil Dead film, which I'm definitely looking forward to watching when that gets released in cinemas and theatres worldwide. But for now though, Evil Dead Burn is available to watch right now. It's now showing in cinemas and theatres worldwide. Tom and Jerry, The Forbidden Compass. Okay, next up this week is Tom and Jerry Forbidden Compass. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I'm sort of a fan of the Tom and Jerry cartoons. You know, I grew up with Tom and Jerry somewhat, you know, and I loved their cartoons when I was a kid, you know. I do think I have seen the live action animated Tom and Jerry film that came out, when was it? Like, it was more recently, I'd probably say within the last 5 or 6 years when that film came out. I do remember watching that. I don't think I enjoyed it, to be honest. And now here we are in 2026 and we have got Tom and Jerry The Forbidden Compass, which bizarrely came out in UK cinemas for a very limited time, which I didn't able to catch in cinemas. So I've ended up buying it to keep on digital, and I've now watched it. Now bizarrely, if you live in the US and you're watching this right now, you guys don't get to see this film until September. I don't know why. It could be to do with distribution. I've got no idea. But US viewers won't be able to see this until September, but here in the UK it is available to buy and rent on digital platforms right now. So now that I have seen Tom and Jerry Forbidden Compass, what do I think of it? Well, essentially this film was made, I believe it was made in China, and the thing is Tom and Jerry are characters, they're the main characters in the Tom and Jerry films or TV series, hence the title Tom and Jerry, because Cat and Mouse, they're the main, you know, they're the main characters from for the TV series and for the movies. So it's kind of bizarre that in Tom and Jerry Forbidden Compass they're kind of working together, you know, like Cat and Mouse join forces, they're not targeting one another, and they're working together to get back home using this compass. And also as well, the other very bizarre thing is, and I mentioned this just now, is they're the main characters of the film. However though, they get sidelined, they get put to one side so that we could then go on to this story about Chinese mythology, which again I find really, really bizarre, you know. I mean, the animation in this doesn't look too bad. I mean, for me personally, I thought the animation was okay, and at times I did think it was kind of colourful and kind of punchy as well. But I'm kind of surprised that this movie took the direction in what it needed to take the direction into. It was kind of like as if China got a opportunity to make a Tom and Jerry movie, so they thought, well, we'll add Tom and Jerry into this film, but what we'll do instead is we'll just talk about Chinese mythology instead, and just put Tom and Jerry to one side, just so then we can say that we've made a Tom and Jerry film, if that makes sense. But, I mean, it was a film. I mean, look, I'll be honest, okay? Is Tom and Jerry Forbidden Compass a film that I would recommend watching? I mean, if you've got kids, maybe young kids, they may enjoy this film. But, I mean, for me, I would say that, well, yes, I did somewhat enjoy this film, but I wasn't going to, I didn't enjoy it as much as I anticipated that I was going to enjoy Tom and Jerry The Forbidden Compass. So for me, I would say that I would rewatch this again in the future, but I wouldn't be in any rush to go back and rewatch it again anytime soon though. But for now though, Tom and Jerry Forbidden Compass is available to buy and rent on digital platforms in the UK, and if you are over in the US, it will be showing in theatres in the US from September 2026. Forbidden Fruits. Now I'm going to be speaking about a brand new horror film that's recently come out on digital platforms here in the UK, which is titled Forbidden Fruits. Now, Forbidden Fruits does star Lola Tung, I believe her name is, and Lily Reinhart as well, who I know from the TV series Riverdale. Now, I'm going to say with Forbidden Fruits, I kind of vibed with this one a little bit. I mean, it was a bit campy for my liking, in a way, but, I mean, to be honest with you, hey, this is about witchcraft, okay, and it's essentially got 3-4 hot witches in it, you know. So there we go. You can't complain when the witches in this film are pretty damn good looking and pretty damn hot. That's all I'm going to say. But Forbidden Fruits though, I kind of vibed with it. The only thing that I vibed with this movie was the gore. Because there was some gore in this, you know. And that's what I appreciated about this film. Is maybe the first 2 acts for me weren't for me, you know. I think the dialogue in some places were a bit messy and a bit clunky in places as well. But that being said though, the film itself I thought was great, and you know, again, I just like the gore in this as well. I mean, I don't know whether or not they're going to do a second Forbidden Fruits film, given, I mean, again, no spoilers here, but just given how they left off the you know, Forbidden Fruits, I mean, I kind of guess they're kind of setting it up for it to be a sequel. I mean, if there is a sequel, I'll give the sequel a watch, I guess. But that being said though, you know, Lily Reinhart, can I just say, for me, was the standout performer. And also as well, the names, the characters' names in this were quite really familiar. You had Apple, who was like the leader of the witchcraft, which was played by Lily Reinhart. You had Pumpkin, who was played by Lola Tung as well. So you had Pumpkin, you had Cherry, and you had Fig as well. So, you know, for me, those names were quite memorable. You know who was who from the get-go, I guess, you know. But for me, is Forbidden Fruits a film that I would go back and rewatch again? I would say so, but for me though, I would say that this is a film that I wouldn't rush back to go and see anytime soon. I mean, for me, this would be a film that I would probably just watch every now and then. I mean, again, like I said, if there is a sequel to Forbidden Fruits, then sure, I would go and watch Forbidden Fruits sequel, and I'd probably then rewatch the original as well before the sequel comes out. But for me though, I would recommend this film for people who are into their witchcraft kind of genre in terms of horror, or just, you know, for anyone that's looking for some decent gore in a horror film. Definitely do check this one out for sure, okay? Don't sleep on this. But just be aware, the dialogue might not meet your standards, the story might not meet your standards, but the gore, if you're into gore, this film will definitely meet your standards in that department. But Forbidden Fruits is available to buy and rent now on digital platforms in the UK. Billie Eilish, Hit Me Hard and Soft, the concert movie. And lastly this week, I watched Billie Eilish, Hit Me Hard and Soft, the tour concert movie. So, I mean, look, I am a fan of Billie Eilish, okay? I mean, I would say so. I mean, I do like the song Birds of a Feather, Bad Guy, you know, and I mean, I do like her collaboration with Charlie XCX on the song Guess, you know, and sometimes I do sing that song. I shouldn't, but sometimes I do, you know, because it is just so catchy. I mean, I'm not going to start singing it right now in this episode of Movie Wrap Up because it's just so embarrassing. But in the meantime though, what did I think of Billie Eilish, Hit Me Hard and Soft, the concert? Well, James Cameron actually surprisingly was a part of this concert movie. I believe he produced it. Now, this did get a very limited cinema release in the UK. So limited, in fact, that I think it only was released for about a weekend in the UK, and then that was it. And I was going to go and see this in cinemas. They did have a 3D experience with this, actually, but again, I never got the chance to see it in cinemas, so I ended up buying it to keep on digital. And I'm going to be honest, alright, look, I think there are some songs that Billie Eilish does which I really do like, and I think she performed some really well on stage in this concert movie as well. However though, there's a rule when it comes to concert movies, okay? For me, when there's a concert movie, I kind of want the full concert experience, as in, you know, I want to see the artists that I'm watching doing a concert movie, I want to see them perform a song, then go on to the next song, then go on to the next song, then the next, then the next, then the next, etc, etc. Okay? What I don't like about concert movies is when they break it up. So you basically get this bit where, you know, there's a little bit of like a performance on stage. There might be one song or two songs that the artist does. Then they take a little break from the stage, and then you go backstage behind the scenes to see what the artist is doing backstage before the show starts, or something like that, you know. And that's the thing that I don't like about those concert movies. I kind of want to see a concert movie with the full concert experience, not this behind the scenes stuff, you know. I mean, look, it's interesting, don't get me wrong, okay? It is interesting, and for fans out there that do want to see all the behind the scenes stuff, I think it's great for them to see that, you know. But for me though, you know, I just want to see the full concert. And with Billie Eilish Hit Me Hard and Soft, the concert, that is the case where we have a song or a couple of songs, then we go backstage, then we go back to the stage again for another song or a couple of songs, and then we're backstage again, you know. And I kind of hated that. If they had done the backstage stuff either towards the end of the concert movie, or at least at the beginning of the concert movie before the concert started, then I think that would have been better. But for me though, it kind of was a bit of annoying, you know. However though, I will say that I still enjoyed this. This did come with a running time of 1 hour 54 minutes. I still enjoyed it. Would I watch this again? Yeah, of course I would. I'd happily watch this again. Would I recommend watching this? Well, if you are a fan of Billie Eilish and you want to watch one of her concerts, then this is the concert for you. For me though, I would probably rewatch this probably every now and then, you know. I'd probably go back to this every once in a while. So that's my thoughts on that. But Billie Eilish, Hit Me Hard and Soft, the concert is available to buy and rent on digital platforms right now. That is it for this week's episode of the movie wrap up. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment in the comment section down below. Let me know what movies you guys have watched this week, whether it's old, new, in cinemas, on DVD, Blu-ray, 4K Ultra, or even on streaming, or heck, if you're retro, VHS, why not? And as always, if you are new around here and you like what you see, feel free to hit that subscribe button down below to become a Steve-O. And don't forget, tap the notification bell as well so that it can notify you every time I upload a video onto my YouTube channel, SteveOfficial. That's it for this week's episode. I'll be back next Sunday with another movie wrap up for you guys. Do stay tuned though for tomorrow, Monday the 13th of July 2026 at 6 PM UK time for another episode of Lens on Life. Coming up in this week's episode, I've got a mystery guest joining us. Who is it? Find out in the next episode of Lens on Life. But until then though, it's goodbye. Thank you for watching, and I'll speak to you guys again in my next YouTube video.